Thank you for that warm welcome. And can we just stop for a second and acknowledge our student speakers and singers? You guys haven't even had a chance to be bored yet, I don't think, and hopefully I don't give you that opportunity. What a day. Before I begin, I'm reminded of what your salutatorian, Andrew Grinsfelder, said in his speech at senior dinner a few days ago. He urged you to take some mental pictures. And since I am of the Polaroid generation, I know that a good photo sometimes takes a beat to develop. So do this with me right now. Develop that photo. Look around, acknowledge what it's like sitting in your particular seat. Notice what your feet feel like in your shoes. That strange cap, how does it feel on your head? Take a look at who's sitting next to you, at whose faces are seeking you out from the crowd. Examine the chapel ceiling, all the little details, the balloons and the banners and the bagpipes, all that went into this celebration. Engrave the moment in your memory. Feel your own joy. Feel the joy of those who have come to cheer you on. Feel the joy of the Lord smiling down on you. I hate that I'm not looking at you, but I'm talking to you all. I'm honored to speak on such a happy occasion, but to speak to this particular class of students, the class of 2024, is especially meaningful for me. Let me tell you why. We're going to travel back in time just once more, I promise, for the briefest of moments to the age in which you watched school happen to you over your laptops, in your pajamas, with your fat cat sitting on your bed, and a group chat or a video game happening somewhere in the background. You all were freshmen. I sat in my upstairs office getting ready to teach. The difference was that I had makeup on and a fancy shirt and no group chat, but I was in my pajama pants. My fat cat was lounging in the window, and I had just spent a few hours trying to pivot, as we so often said back then, to translate lesson plans to the online world by way of apps with names like Padlet and Cami and Kahoot. And then I tried to captivate rows and rows of gray boxes in the joy of learning. Now, you were not the people in those gray boxes. You were in Miss Miller's and Miss Geiger's gray boxes, but none of my gray boxes laughed at my dumb jokes, which was kind of rude, and often my online pivots, they failed. And usually I was sure that my students were checked out, bored, and ultimately just a little bit sad. I, probably much like you, felt pretty powerless in the face of a lot of hard things. I'd been a teacher for almost 10 years at that point, and I typically loved my job, but logging on to school each day was painful. It was, for me, the most difficult year I've ever experienced as a teacher. And that's saying a lot, because I have taught middle school. I wanted to give up a number of times. Maybe you did too. It was so hard to care. And I'd end class and go downstairs and Windex my groceries, which was also sad. But our stories converged during your sophomore year. Mandates were lifting, vaccines were available, nobody Windexed the Oreos anymore. We finally got to come back together, masked up, but present in a room together. And you all taught me to care again. I got to hear Jillian's awesome laugh, witness Joe's Play-Doh Frankenstein monster, see Elliot's joy one day when he found a toy dinosaur in the Rite Aid dumpster and brought it into class to let us all hear its mechanical roar. I got to nerd out with Lena about whatever new book she was reading. I got to chat with Flynn after class and laugh with Eva about her sad computer that would only turn on like 33% of the time because she dropped it so much. Even if you were not in my class, I remember you. I got to pass you on the hallway and see your happiness at reuniting with your friends. In the middle of my teaching career, you reminded me what it felt like to care. I will always count that year, in contrast with the one before it, as one of my favorite years of teaching. And that is saying a lot because I have taught middle school. I got to learn from you. My advice for you today is kind of simple, and yet it will be something that you will have to work on and work out every day of your life. My advice to you is to have the courage to care. It is a wonderful thing as a teacher to have students who care. I don't have to tell you all because you know how to do it. You show off your caring all the time. It's Evan and the way he can almost magically float a volleyball to a teammate. It's Sam and how she'll bring in the tiniest little foster kitten you've ever seen and show you how to bottle feed it in the middle of class. It's Jude and how much he loves his fur coat. It's Sean behind the camera. It's Soraya and how her eyes light up when she sings. It's Luca playing basketball and Bella when she talks about her favorite poem. Clem when she's running a meeting. Chris and also Chris kicking a soccer ball. And Jacob doing just about anything. Right, Jacob?
Yeah.
I want you to pour your lives into things that you care about. Pursue those majors, find those relationships, spend time cultivating your passions. Discover what makes your heart just naturally glow. To care about something means to give it your attention, the greatest commodity that you have. But there's a second part too. I also want you to do your best to care about the things that might not be natural for you to care about. For me, that would be a math problem, or sports ball, or Minecraft. I don't naturally care about those things. But when I listen to Mr. B talk about one of his number discoveries, or when my son shows me the amazing city he's built on that weird boxy online game, I am inspired and wanting to care about it. Doing the work to find the beauty and the worth is actually caring. This may sound like easy advice, but I can almost guarantee you that you'll be sitting in some 8 a.m. class come September or October, feeling like you'd rather be anywhere but there. It's pointless to learn this stuff, you might think, or this won't help me at all in my future career as a sports ballist. But I hope you'll pause and find a way. If Mrs. Savage can care about Minecraft, then you can find a way to care about anything. It is always easier not to care. Since I'm an English teacher and you know I like words, I would like to teach you one more. There's an ancient word called acedia that means a lack of care. Perhaps you've never heard this word before, you wouldn't be alone. In the 1933 Oxford English Dictionary, the king of all the dictionaries, it was even declared obsolete. The dictionary people said that this word wasn't really that important of a word. But it made a comeback. In the middle of the 20th century, after we as global citizens had been through a smattering of pretty terrible wars and international upheaval, the word began popping up again. Acedia. You probably know acedia in your bones, even if you didn't know the word. What this spiritual vice looks like is neglect, boredom, a kind of inner deadness or sleepiness, especially in terms of things that matter, like questions of faith and justice. Our world in many ways tempts us not to care. It tempts us to check out, to doom scroll, to be too cool for school, as that other ancient phrase goes. Resist that. Be courageous and brave enough to care about whatever it is that you put your hands to. Because here's the good news. You want to know what the opposite of acedia is? Most people would think the opposite of a lack of care is to care a lot. But the virtue that is opposite of the vice is joy. The opposite of acedia is joy. I love our school motto, which is to teach students how to live and think well. Perhaps you've grown tired of hearing about it after 4 years, but I don't think I will ever will. May I be so bold today as to add one more thing to the list. I'd love for you to learn to care well. As Christians, Jesus is our model for what it means to care well. When Jesus was asked for his best graduation advice, he said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself." He cheated there a little bit by giving 2, but he's the Son of God, so he gets that kind of leeway. Caring first about God and people is the way to care rightly. In his ministry, he showed us this. He taught us to care especially about those on the outside, the poor, the suffering, the lonely, the outcast. Theologian Simone Weil wrote, "The capacity to give one's attention to a sufferer is a very rare and difficult thing. It is almost a miracle. It is a miracle. Warmth of heart, impulsiveness, pity are not enough." I'd go even further to say that when we care about those who are in the midst of suffering, we are blessed the most by them too, because they are the closest to God. Learn then to care about the people who are the hardest to care about, not the easiest. Even your enemies, Jesus said. Stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Welcome those who are not welcomed by their peers, by the culture, sometimes even by the church. The world needs more people who do that. I have a feeling that many of you will grow up to do some amazing things. You might become rich, influential, surrounded by people who love you, famous, dare I say even cool? Some of you are those things already. If that's the case, you have an even greater responsibility. I am honored to speak to you, class of 2024, because you taught me once, a burnt out, tired educator, to care again and to care well. I'd like to offer that same grace to you today. We, your teachers, your families, your friends, are so proud of you. The people, as Mr. Comer said, that you wasted a lot of time with, sit next to you and celebrate along with you. So I'll close today with a benediction. Class of 2024, may the Lord be with you as you go on to all the different places in these upcoming years. May you feel God's presence, may you care with all of your hearts, and may you experience deeply the joy that comes with that good work.